ahead and get started today. If you guys would stand with me. Ryan, would you lead us in a prayer, please?
Most gracious Heavenly God, as we come here today, we thank you for all who come because we're able to make it. We pray that you would guide and direct our business, that the things that this organization undertakes, God, would be beneficial to our fellow humankind and pleasing to you. We pray this in your Son's name.
Matt, would you lead us in the pledge?
Yes. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, in honor of Thanksgiving today, we're going to sing one verse of Old MacDonald had a farm, and we're going, this farm only has turkeys on it. So here we go. Old MacDonald
Had a farm, E-I-E-I-O, and on this farm he had some turkeys, E-I-E-I-O, with a gobble gobble here and a gobble gobble there, here a gobble, there a gobble, everywhere a gobble gobble. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O.
Good job.
Thank you, Nelson. That was great. We have one birthday this week, and I actually believe it's actually today. Fred, is today your birthday?
Yes, unfortunately.
Well, happy birthday, Fred.
Better to have you not.
Okay. Johnny, do you have anything you'd like to report today?
Well, I'll do a little report. I'm not going to pick on anybody. You see, it's deer hunting season, right? Probably some of you have already been out in your stands. I sound like I have, but I haven't. So there's two hunters went out on this property, and one was pretty familiar with it, but the other had never been there, and it was really kind of remote. So the first one said, well, you need to move on down a ways here, so we separate. We see him here, we may have a better chance. But now, if you get lost, since you're not familiar with the property, said you just fire 3 shots straight in the air, and I'll come and find you. They went by, hadn't heard from him, hollered at him, didn't answer. So he went to town, got a search party. They went out, searched for him, found him. First one said, well, why didn't you do what I told you? Fire 3 shots in the air and I would come and get you. He said, I did, until I ran out of arrows.
Oh no, Johnny.
Well,
Kurt's not here to report, but I do see that we have a couple of guests. Would you guys stand and introduce yourself, please?
I'm Madison Stanger. I'm a senior at Batesville High School. I'm Abby Richard. I'm a sophomore at Batesville High School, and I'm in
We're glad that you're here. I see over here that we have Mike Enos. Would you like to introduce yourself? Gary.
thanks for letting me be here.
Thank you for coming. I don't see Brenda or Deanna, but yesterday we did do trash pickup. We had, at my count, 6 Rotarians and 6 family members show up. So we got it done in about just under 2 hours. I never realized there were so many cigarette butts and chicken feathers on the side of the road in our area. But we got it all cleaned up down our side. We did sign a contract with the highway department that we are supposed to do that every quarter. So be on the lookout. There will be another one coming probably after the holidays. So the more people that show up, the quicker we get it done. It's really amazing. But thank you all who showed up yesterday. We really appreciate it. Ken is not here. We want to say thank you today to Pat Dunnigan for being a great door greeter. Let's give her a hand. Now, I don't see Carter here today, but next week is Carter Ford's turn as door greeter. Just a couple of quick announcements. The Christmas party / 75th party is on December the 14th at 6 p.m. here at Line upstairs. You can register right now on DACDB. Brenda has put it on the website. It's on the calendar. You can go in and register on there, or just let Brenda or myself know that you want to come. You are welcome to bring as many guests as you like. It is $25 per person, but you can sign up on the website, or just let us know that you want to come. We'll probably pass the sign-up sheet around later on for those of you that want to sign up on paper. I still have some Who's Who forms if anybody wants to sign up on those. This is going to be a little game that we're going to play that night at the party, and I just need you to kind of fill in who best fits that situation and turn it back into me. Speakers for the party, I've gotten a couple of people that want to speak. If there's anybody else out there that wants to tell a story or has anything to say about Rotary and its history or anything, please let me know so that I can schedule time slots for those speakers. Our main speaker is going to be Dr. Barb Warner from Jonesboro. He's going to come over, but anybody that wants to speak, I want to give everybody the opportunity, so please let me know if you would like to speak that evening. The Christmas parade is Monday, November the 30th. That's 2 weeks from today. We have secured an ATV from Independence County Off-Road. Steve has been working on that. We're going to get that hooked up, and I think Johnny is going to help us maybe put some lights on it, and we'll get it all together, and we will meet that evening, usually about 6 o'clock in the old Regions Bank building on Main Street. That's the big glass building just down from the shopping center where Maurice's and Bill's Fresh Market and all that stuff is at, just down from there. And we have lots of candy. I don't think we need any more candy, so I'm going to say let's not bring any more. We've got a bunch because we did have some left over from last year. So I think we're good on the candy. Thanks to everybody that brought some.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Go ahead, John.
No, I was just saying, that's next month, this coming month, right?
November the 30th.
Right, you said 2 weeks.
Oh, did I? Okay. Yeah.
And, excuse me.
Can we stop meeting in old buildings? We keep meeting at the old Regions Bank building, the old Kelly
I would
White.
love to, but that's just, that's where everybody knows where to go.
If you're right,
Also, Amanda, Bill's Market is no longer there, nor is Maurice's.
Yeah, and I'm Maurice's.
Newspaper.
Like the old Maurice's. Okay.
Wiggly Wiggly.
Yeah, the old Piggly Wiggly, the old Price Stopper, the old Van Atkins. Okay, our speaker today is Ashley Walker with CASA. Ashley was born Ashley Womack to LaVon and Nina Womack. She is a native of Batesville and an alumni of Batesville High School, Harding University, and a graduate of Lyon College. After matriculation, she became a teacher and has taught all over the United States, to include Houston, Texas, Monette and Jonesboro, Arkansas, Beaufort, South Carolina, Carlsbad, California, and then finally back in her hometown of Batesville. Ashley's notable awards while teaching include Who's Who of America's Teachers, and she was recognized by the U.S. Department of Education and awarded the American Star of Teaching Award for raising test scores on the Arkansas benchmark exam in English. After 18 years of teaching, she decided to follow a legal dream and pursue a different career path as a legal assistant, which led her to her current position of the volunteer coordinator for the Court-Appointed Special Advocates, or CASA. Please help me welcome Ashley.
Thank you for having me today. I appreciate y'all letting me be here. I am one of the volunteer coordinators for the Court-Appointed Special Advocate Program. I particularly serve the counties of Fulton, Independence, and Izard, and we are part of the 16th District, which also includes Cleburne and Stone counties, and we have another coordinator who takes care of those. But just to let you know a little bit about CASA, it stands for Court-Appointed Special Advocates. We are a nonprofit, volunteer-based child advocacy program that recruits, trains, and supports volunteers to represent the best interests of abused and neglected children in the court system. Our ultimate goal as CASA volunteers is to help ensure that every child has the opportunity to grow up in a safe, loving, and permanent home. And I'm sure we all know that there are a lot of children that don't have those opportunities. Our volunteers are appointed by the juvenile court judge to work with families who have children in foster care. So we are officers of the court. We assist in recommending the best possible outcome for the children's future. And we also make sure that the abuse and neglect that the child originally suffered at home does not continue as abuse and neglect at the hands of the system, which unfortunately sometimes that does. Whether our position means helping to safely reunite the children with their parents or relatives, connecting them with adoptive parents, or finding an alternative placement, our ultimate goal is to help ensure that every child finds that safe and permanent home. As volunteers and officers of the court, we review records, we research information, and we talk to everyone involved in the case, whether that be social workers, attorneys, we talk to the parents, we visit with their teachers, other family members that may be involved, and then obviously, as long as they are old enough, we do talk to the children themselves. Our volunteers then present a recommendation to the court in the form of a written court report, but we do not provide legal representation. Some people think that we're associated with that in a way, but we're not at all. But we do provide crucial background information that does help the attorneys in presenting their cases. So we work very closely with the attorney ad litem who may be assigned to the child in our cases. We also provide information to those attorneys who may be parent counsel, and then we work with the DHS attorneys as well. The judges rely very heavily on the information that CASA provides to make an informed decision about the child's future. And again, we work with the DHS social workers, attorney ad litem, parent counsel, and the child's parents as well. Each one of our volunteers only handles 1 to 2 cases at a time. We all know that DHS is overworked, understaffed. They may have 25 cases, and so they're kind of pulled a little bit here and a little bit there. But by our volunteers only having 1 or 2 cases to work at a time, they're able to provide those children and the families with individual attention, which is something that those children really deserve. So on a state average, the DHS social workers only make about 60% of their required monthly visits to the children that are assigned to them who are in foster care. Ad litems work multiple counties. Sometimes they are only able to see the children that are assigned to them the day of their court hearing, if those children are there. So the CASA volunteer is far more likely to visit a child in their current placement, to follow up on living situations and employment situations of the parents, and also more likely to investigate whether or not appropriate services are being provided to the families. We ask that our CASA volunteers see the children assigned to them a minimum of once per month. So if a case is open, say, for 12 to 15 months, our CASA worker has seen that child a minimum of 12 to 15 times throughout the duration of their case. Studies have shown us that children that are assigned a CASA volunteer tend to spend less time in foster care, receive more court-ordered services, are less likely to re-enter the system, and more likely to find a permanent home than those children who do not have a CASA volunteer. Our volunteers come from all walks of life. There's no set rule or regulation that says you have to have this job and you have to be this age to be a CASA volunteer. Nationally, CASA has over 77,000 volunteers, and there are over 900 programs across the nation for CASA. We have, if you are 18 years old, you can do your training and become a CASA volunteer. We have retired people who are volunteers. We have people who have full-time, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday jobs. It does not matter whether you are a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad or full-time, retired, it does not matter. If you have a few hours a month to devote to a child, then we would love to have you as a volunteer. Prior to our first court appearance, our CASA volunteers spend about 10 hours doing research and conducting interviews and visiting with the children. We do have some cases that involve more than one child and become a little bit more complicated, so those will take a few more hours. But about 10 hours a month on the front end, and then after that, it just kind of depends on how long it may take you to write your report, how long you visit with the child or visit with the families, social workers, and things like that. So currently, in the 3 counties that I serve, we have 10 volunteers, and we are currently serving 27 children. Now, if you think that's only in our 3 counties, our hope is that by 2020, we would have enough volunteers to serve 100% of the children that are in foster care. But in order to do that, we need to recruit, train, and support 100 volunteers. So we're about 90 volunteers short of where we need to be. Currently, we are not able to serve any children in Fulton County. We do not have any CASA volunteers. So if you know someone in the Salem area or that general direction, or someone in Batesville who's willing to travel to Fulton County, then we would love to have them. Just to kind of give you some average statistics, there are about 646,000 children across the country who are taken into foster care every year, and those children spend approximately 2 years in the foster care system. About 53% of those will be returned to their parents. 17% will be adopted, 16% will live with relatives, and then another 5% have an unknown outcome. There are about 20,000 children every year who actually age out of foster care, meaning that they remain in foster care until they're 18, and then they choose to no longer receive services from DHS, and so they age out without ever finding that permanent home. In our particular district, our 5 counties, we have about 400 children in foster care. These are children that go to our schools, they attend our churches, they live in our communities. And these are children in our counties that deserve to be taken care of. DHS struggles to keep up with their caseload, and so it is imperative that programs like CASA exist so that the future leaders of our country can grow up in a safe and loving environment. I've placed some informational brochures on your table, so please feel free to take one of those. If you think you are interested in becoming a CASA volunteer, I did bring some applications with me today, so if you would like one of those, I can give you one of those, or if you know someone that you think would be interested, I'm happy to give one of those to you, and you can take it with you, and then just mail it back. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those. We do require that our volunteers attend the court hearings for the cases that they are assigned to. Again, we are part of the juvenile court system, so those hearings are in the courtroom on the 2nd floor of the library building. Typically, we go to court, our volunteers go to court about once every 3 to 4 months. Sometimes it could be 2 months in a row, depending on what's happened with the case. Sometimes we will see children who come into foster care and the parents do what they need to do. The children are returned to their home on a trial basis, and unfortunately the parents can't keep it together and the children get taken away again. And so then the hearing process starts all over again. We have had cases that have gone on longer than 18 months. We've had some that have gone on for 3, 4, 5 years. And so if you think about a child, say, initially being taken from their home when they're, say, 3 years old, if their case is going on 3 years, well, now they're 6 years old. They've gone back to the home, they've been taken again. They've gone back to the home, they've been taken again. and it's such a sad situation in so many cases. So we need all the volunteers that we can get to help ensure that these children do end up in those stable and loving homes. So, are there any questions? Yes, sir.
What are y'all's financial obligations? Do you need funds, and if so, who supplies them?
Excuse me, we do need funds. Our director is out of Heber Springs, and we have a silent auction fundraiser every year. We also receive a grant from VOCA that helps pay. We only have 3 paid members. The coordinators and the director are paid personnel for CASA, and then everyone else is volunteer. But we do have other expenses as far as training volunteers and getting the materials for that, videos and office supplies and lots of other things. So we do get a lot of donations. VOCA helps provide some of that. We were very fortunate in our silent auction this year that we raised about $26,000, which was a little bit, my understanding is a little bit more than we raised last year. So it's always nice to have those wonderful people that will support the CASA program.
One more question.
Sure.
What your estimate, percentage of children that are coming from homes where addiction is present?
In my experience, which I will say has not been very long, I've been an advocate since April and in my current position since September the 1st. But the cases that I have come in contact with, we are probably at about 90 to 95%. From, again, most of that is drug abuse. Now, we do have some situations that children get removed for environmental issues in the home. So that's, not every case we see is a drug abuse case on the part of the parents. But for the cases that we currently have right now, the majority of our cases are drug abuse or neglect cases.
Most of these families co-parenting or single parents?
We do have some who are, parents are married and both in the home. We do have a lot of single parent homes. Some of them where the father is, or one parent is not involved. A lot of our cases right now are single parent homes. But again, that's not always the case. We do have some parents who are married, both living in the home. One parent may have drug issues, the other one doesn't, but if you have one parent that does, unfortunately a lot of times both parents will kind of fall into that, and one parent may get clean, but the other parent won't. But if they're both still living in the home together, then the child cannot be returned. So then that becomes the issue of, okay, well, the child still has to remain in foster care, until, unfortunately, either the parents split up, or the other parent gets clean, or there is a relative that will step up and take the children into their care. Fortunately, we do see a lot of relatives who will step up and say, okay, what do I need to do to get this child in my home, because I don't want these children in foster care. And a lot of the parents would rather that happen as well. They would rather see their child go with relatives, because many times if the child is with relatives, they're going to be local. If they have to go in a foster home, we don't have enough foster homes in Independence County either. So unfortunately, the children have to go out of county. We have several children on our cases who are in foster homes outside of Independence County right now. Sometimes they have to go to a children's shelter, especially if there is a sibling group and there's not a foster home, for example, that's open or has the space to take 3 siblings, but they're close enough in age that they want to keep them together. So the children are taken to a shelter. There's a wonderful shelter in Walnut Ridge that we've had experience with, another one that's in Paragould. So unfortunately then that makes it hard for parents' visitation. once the parents have a clean drug test, then they're able to get visitation with their children. But they do have to be drug tested on a regular basis, as long as the children are out of their home. If they have a clean test one week and get a visit, if they're not in a rehab program, they may not have a clean test the next week, and then they don't get their visit the next week. So it's unfortunately a sad situation many times. Yes?
What age are most of the children that you see?
That's hard to say. We have them from all ages. We have, we have children under the age of 1 right now. And we have some who are getting ready to age out, so getting ready to turn 18 in the next few months, and kind of everywhere in between. So, unfortunately, you can't say, okay, we're only gonna, only these children at this age, but they come from all ages. We have teenagers, we have 6, 7, 8-year-olds, we have 4, 5, 6 month babies, 1 and 2-year-olds. So there's no average, I guess. As far as what we see currently, we just have kind of the entire age range for us right now. Yes, sir.
Does your agency work at all as far as foster care is concerned, or adoption, or just?
No, we just work, we only work for the children. We just work with the children in the court system. We do communicate quite a bit with DHS, and work with them. We share a lot of information with them. But we are, as far as our organization, we are strictly working for the children. So to ensure that, if the ultimate goal for every child that's removed from the home is reunification with their parents. Sometimes that happens and that's wonderful, and other times it doesn't happen. And when it doesn't happen, we try to ensure that they do end up in that safe and loving and permanent home that we all need. Yes, sir.
I've been reading in the news media lately about single parents, teenage parents. Arkansas holds the record of teenage parenting. Is that anything we can do about that?
I think there is. I think there are some that need a lot of education about things. There are some who need services, and they may just not be aware that services are out there for them, that DHS or other organizations can provide to them. And I think if they were made a little more aware of those services and would take advantage of those, then I think that would assist in the problem, which in turn I think would assist in the number of children that are taken into foster care.
The other thing that amazes me out of the news media is the number of women who have been attacked or seriously attacked by their boyfriend.
Yes.
These women have no selection ability. Seems like they would have found out about their boyfriend tendencies sooner.
You would think so, but they never cease to amaze me either. Any other questions?
When the family takes the child, steps to take the child, is it usually primarily to see grandparents doing that, or?
That's the majority of what we see, but we do see aunts and uncles that will step up and take their children in. But the majority of it is normally grandparents.
Do you all have a rule, or is there any guidelines as to who the child can go? Like down the family line, is there a certain place that you stop?
No, and of course those decisions are ultimately made by DHS. That there is a process that they have to go through, paperwork they have to fill out to be approved as a home through DHS. Sometimes they will go ahead and place the children in the relative home in what's called a provisional placement, meaning that they understand that certain paperwork is completed on the front end, and then they have other things they have to complete for the children to be kept in their home. So it's just, obviously a biological relative is first. Sometimes the mothers say, I don't know who the dad is, I think it's this person. DHS a lot of times will pay for, to establish that paternity, but it comes on a case-by-case basis. All right, well, Donna.
I was just thinking about if you were a CASA volunteer, the things you see, do you guys offer some sort of counseling or support through your volunteers? Because I don't know emotionally how to handle that.
We see a lot. We see a lot of things. As far as outside counseling services, we don't, but we try to meet fairly regularly with our advocates. Being the coordinator, I'm available just about any time for my advocates through phone, text message, email, whatever they may need to meet with them and assist in answering questions, or sometimes just talking through a situation. Well, I went to this house today and this is what I saw. I don't know how to deal with this. And we sit in court and we see a lot of things, not just on our own cases, but all of the cases that come through the juvenile system on the DHS court days. So you see a lot. It can take a toll on you, emotionally, mentally. It's, unfortunately, we kind of have to flip that little switch sometimes that says, okay, I've got to hold it together today while I'm here in this moment, and then when I leave or when I get home, I get in the car, then I can bring my emotions back into it. Our volunteers are required to sign confidentiality agreements because all juvenile cases are closed to the general public. Like I said, just not on our own cases, but just, seeing the people that come through the court system are, it's definitely eye-opening as to the issues that are going on in our own county and surrounding counties. Do our advocates encounter people they know? Yes, they do. Some of them may be assigned to cases from people they know, or somebody in the family is someone they know. Sometimes that's at the request of the advocate, and if they're comfortable with that, then we have no problem with that, as long as they can continue to be objective in their court reports and just remembering that they're in it for what's best for the child. But it's definitely something that weighs on your emotions. I'll be here for a few minutes after the meeting if you have any questions or would like to pick up an application. And thank you very much for having me today.
Literacy project, and we're going to donate a book to the Independence County Library on your behalf, and it is very nice and hand.
My son will love that.
It says this book is donated on behalf of Ashley Walker with CASA for speaking to the Rotary Club of Batesville on November 23rd, 2015.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Couple of quick announcements. Sodexo Lyon College is going to be closed a couple of dates coming up in December. On December 14th, we're not going to meet that day at noon because we're going to meet upstairs that evening for our party. Now, we are going to have a board meeting that day. The board meeting is going to be moved to noon instead of 11 o'clock. We're going to meet at US Pizza in the party room. So if you're on the board, mark your calendars, December 14th, noon in the US Pizza party room. On December the 21st, we are tentatively right now meeting at Elizabeth's that day for lunch. Now, we don't have that set in stone just yet, so that could change, but go ahead and mark your calendar for that following Monday, the 21st, at Elizabeth's. The next Monday, the 28th, we're not going to meet. That's in between Christmas and New Year's. We're just not going to meet that day. Then on January the 4th, we are going to meet at Fox Creek Barbecue in their party room. They've got some new owners, and they're fixing that place up. I know we had a meeting there before, and it was kind of iffy, but we're going to try it one more time. We'll meet that day in their party room at noon, and then we'll be back here at Lyon the following Monday, that second Monday in January. Ashley, if you don't care, draw me out a ticket.
The lucky one. Thank you. All right.
595263.
I knew
Nelson
I
Barnett.
knew if I sat at this table.
You said it was all good.
It's a lucky table.
The Joker.
I stayed, one good
I forgot to tell you, we're up to $652. $652 today, so if we split that between the winner and the club, that'd be $326 apiece. So we're getting on up there, and the deck's getting smaller and smaller, so keep trying. Does anybody have anything else today? Okay, if not, we'll end as we always do with the four-way test of things we think, say, and do. Number 1.
Is it true?
Number 2.
Is it fair to all concerned?
Number 3.
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
And number 4.
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Have a happy Thanksgiving.